Good morning, everybody. It's 12 minutes past 8 o'clock right now, and time to talk a little politics. And that's why we bring our party scoopers in studio. Jackie?
Absolutely. We have Jeff Link on the Democratic side and Craig Robinson on the Republican side, but all talking politics together here as we do every single week here on Iowa Live. So some big things to talk about this week specifically. Before we get to the debates that are coming up tomorrow. First one, right?
And Thursday.
And Thursday.
We have so many candidates.
We got to spread it out.
10 and 10. Yep.
So exciting.
2 nights of primetime television. More details on that before
Start
we
popping
get
your popcorn tonight.
tonight.
And
we
brewing your
got to know
coffee.
what words to listen to for the drinking games.
Yes.
Fill out your bracket.
Fill out your bracket, all the good things. But the brackets have been expanded because I said we got to get to 25. We're getting close. We got the 24th man.
I think they call that
jumping
a
in.
baker's 2 dozen.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Double
we have a new
dozen.
candidate.
So who's the new one?
Joe Sestak.
We got another Joe.
Yes. What we need is more Joes in this race. Former congressman from Pennsylvania. He was an admiral in the Navy, served in Congress for a few terms, and then ran for the United States Senate. Came up short. Was it in 14 or 16? One of those two. And for whatever reason, felt like there was room to run in the presidential primary and has jumped in.
What is going through these people's brains? They'd be like, you know what, this is the year.
I think there's always a level. Like the race gets so full, and then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, why not? I mean, I think these people measure up their credentials against someone else. And they
Yes,
say,
that's it.
Well, look, if Jeff's running, why shouldn't Craig run?
Yes.
Now, is there a financial gain for some of these folks to get involved with this?
They get some national profile, and what we'll have to see is in these debates, are one of these lower tier candidates able to have a moment where they can really emerge in this field? I mean, you've already seen this with Buttigieg, who you would think would be a lower tier candidate just by his resume. He's front runner in this race.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to see if other candidates can do this. I mean, I think he has staying power, and he's a legitimate contender in this race.
And it could be that somebody like former Congressman Sestak looks at Mayor Pete and says, I was a congressman from suburban Philadelphia. This guy was mayor of South Bend, and he's one of the front runners.
Right.
I should get in, and I could be a front. Like, I think that's literally where
that comes
how
from.
they analyze.
Or maybe they use it to get somewhere else in their own career and at a lower level? Or who knows?
Former presidential candidate sounds pretty good on a resume.
The other thing that happens, though, when you have a big field is that then the pressure, it's funny because the pressure to raise the money to compete head-to-head with a front runner isn't quite there. You're competing with other people on your tier. And so it almost becomes like the threshold's a little lower since the field's so big. You just have to be able to
maintain.
It's a win a war of attrition, maybe, versus having to go head to head with a Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders.
Speaking of attrition, do you think we're going to start seeing people fall out after these debates are over, like maybe by the weekend, or
probably not after the debates?
Okay.
This is everyone's chance to sort of have a moment. They'll have about 6 minutes each to talk, just because of the format. There's 10 candidates and an hour for each of these. But what will happen is, at some point here between the 1st of July and Labor Day, people are going to run short of funds, right? That's what's going to cause people to drop out of this race.
They have to drop out if they don't have money.
Is they can't pay staff,
and I think it's really
travel.
it'll really show at the year end. I think you get close into December, people will know what their end of year numbers are, and I think that December 31st filing deadline will force more people out than.
Well, the other thing about September is the second debate's in September, and that's where the Democratic National Committee has raised the ante for getting into the debate. So for this debate, you either have to poll at 2% or you have to have 65,000 individual donors. They can all be donors of $1, but you have to have 65,000. For September, you have to have 130,000. Now, it's a real challenge. That's a lot of donors.
Double, yeah.
It's a lot. It's just a big number, and the other thing is these campaigns are spending like crazy to acquire donors.
Yep.
I've heard that some campaigns are spending up to $50 to acquire a $1 donor, because that's their ticket to get into the debate.
Right.
And
They just wanted to
it
get
just
in.
gets really expensive.
But I think this is brilliant by the Democratic Party. This is an area that is difficult for these parties to deal with. Who gets on the debate stage or not. I actually think this makes a lot of sense, and then it pays dividends. You are identifying Democrat donors for the Democratic Party that they can use in congressional races, Senate races, all of that. So I think this is really well thought out on the
You're
Democrat
getting a show of
side.
hands.
And
Yeah.
I think that Republicans in their next open presidential type field should look at something like this.
Okay,
I think it
so
makes a
do
lot
we
of
know
sense.
what's happening Wednesday and Thursday? Does everybody throw their name in a hat and they get
Well,
to decide what
they've
night's
already
what?
decided who goes which night. So the second night has Biden, Sanders, Buttigieg, Harris. They're kind of the four to watch.
That's the Thursday
on
program?
the Thursday
Thursday
night
program,
debate.
okay.
For tomorrow night, you have Elizabeth Warren with Booker and Delaney and a few of the others on Wednesday night. I think Elizabeth Warren will be the center of attention on the first night because she seems to have a little wind at her sails, and I think she'll be a target.
It's interesting to me. I think Warren has a huge advantage. Just it's the first night. There's going to be a lot of attention on this thing, and Warren is kind of the clear focus of that first debate. But I think the second night, that debate field is a little bit more interesting with how these people, what they need to accomplish and who they're debating against. And so I think both nights are really must-see TV.
But there is a limit. They each have 6 minutes. Is that what
Well,
you said?
there's 10
Well,
candidates in an
yeah.
hour
Okay.
debate, so
Okay.
if you just
If
divide
they're
it up.
lucky enough to get 6
But
minutes
then
of
remember,
conversation.
you got to remember though, you might be given 6 minutes, but you might also have someone who uses. Look at Donald Trump dominated the debates 4 years ago, and it was kind of unconventional, but the talk was always focused on him. Jeb Bush spent every last minute trying to correct or say something that proved Donald Trump wrong on something. It was a horrible strategy because it was just more attention on Donald Trump. I'm curious to see if there is kind of a bully on the debate stage that'll wrestle time away from others in any of these.
Well, and on the first night, watch Cory Booker, because he's been very critical of Joe Biden this last week over Biden's comments about working with senators that he didn't agree with, particularly some segregationists. And Booker has been critical. He's not on the same stage
I was going to
as
say,
Biden,
he's going to criticize someone who can't respond.
and he's going to do it the night before.
And
so
he might
it'll
be able to
interesting.
dictate what is talked about the second night. I think Booker is someone to definitely watch.
Okay, well, a lot of people making statements like Bernie saying he's going to take care of all of our student debt. Little late, Bernie. You needed to handle that a couple years ago.
Little pricey too.
Little
Bernie.
pricey. So a lot of people making bold statements to get attention back
But
to them
it's working,
right
yeah.
before the debates.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully there is a discussion about ideas like this. I think on the first night we are going to see a discussion about Medicare for all, because I know there are campaigns like Delaney and Hickenlooper that want to engage on this issue and say that's not the direction our party should go.
Right.
Sanders and Warren and others have said, yes, we should do Medicare for all. If we can get a real discussion about that, maybe about student debt, that's
It'd be
important.
fantastic.
Stuff to,
It'd be great
to
if that
listen
could
for.
happen.
So even though we're blessed to be Iowa, first in the nation, it's still important to watch the
Absolutely.
national stage that's happening.
It is, and I'm
this
not
week.
hopeful that it's going to happen, but if one of these candidates would talk about rural America, that would be a plus.
That'd be huge.
Even though since it's in Miami, it's going to be hard, but I mean, the Iowa audience is going to be watching.
A lot of
All right.
eyeballs on the
We
next
hope
two
you
nights
are.
after
You know,
today.
we'll be talking about it next week as well with our party scoopers. Thank you, Jeff and Craig, for joining us this morning. You're watching